Look, the greatest gift that I got this past weekend, which was my birthday weekend, was not having to watch the Michigan offense march down the field. Um, we coming off of a bye week, and man, college football just in of itself right now is just more interesting than ever. And I know in our other segment, which will go up here on the Garage Takes channel as well, we'll talk about the landscape of college football and thoughts around the 12-team CFP, which Michigan certainly looks like they do not belong in. But I do not want this to be a doom and gloom segment, especially coming off of a bye week. And we yet again have our new starting quarterback, third one of the year here. And nope, not because of injuries, just because nothing will work. And so, look, Jack Tuttle came in and gave this offense some life. And, I think it was 3 scoring possessions in a row before we know that the fumble, which kind of, did dictate the rest of the game, and then the interception. Look, Jack Tuttle so far of the 3, and I know it was a short glimpse, he looks like the most competent, just quarterback, plug and play, ready to go. We shall see. And so, Brant, what are you hoping to see from this Michigan team out of the bye week as we kind of jump into the next half of the season? And it doesn't get any easier. Illinois is no slouch, and it's not going to be an easy place to go and win a football game. So, what do you expect to see? What are you hoping to see from this team?
Dave, I really do love you, dude, but I'm so sick of answering this question. I'm so sick of hearing this question. Like, what do you expect? What do you hope for? Like, you're not the only one that asks me this question. I hear this all the time. Hey, so what do you think this weekend? I have no clue. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what Jack Tuttle is. I watched him for 3 quarters against Washington. And I think the team came off of a high when they made their comeback. They get up 17-14 when they were down 14-0. And then Jack Tuttle kind of turns into a pumpkin. It turned midnight on him early, and he has the fumble and then the interception, back-to-back turnovers, and there goes the game, and here comes the L. I don't think Jack Tuttle is the answer to solve all of our problems. I think Jack Tuttle is the best of a bad situation. Again, we're going to keep talking about this, and Michigan fans need to hear this. Sharon Moore totally botched this offseason. He's on the hook for it, and we need to find answers. And that's a conversation that we'll have later down the road, Dave. I know that. But for this weekend specifically, this defense needs to stop the aerial attack that Illinois is going to try to bring out. They love to throw it around. Altmaier's improved. He's a better quarterback. He's a better quarterback than anything we have on our roster. And we're going to have to get used to saying that as well for the rest of the season. Pat Bryant, outstanding receiver. They are going to feed that ball around the outside. They're at home. They're going to want to air it out. I think that Michigan's secondary needs to certainly be ready. And if Michigan's defensive line can get home and they can eat, which they had a pretty good game against Washington, had they not fallen down early, I thought the secondary played suspect at best out there in Seattle. I think if the defensive line can set the tone for this game and the offensive line can churn out enough yards on the ground, Michigan wins this game. I'm not confident in saying that. I don't think this is going to be as much of a Jack Tuttle situation as it is. If you go game manager in this game, we should be able to get it done. I don't trust Jack Tuttle not to turn the ball over.
So, I guess what I'm one of the things that I'm struggling with this team in general, and I know we talk about the quarterback and the lack of an offense for days, but you're talking about the defense, and I think like that's it right there. I mean, you saw it against Washington. Brant, last year, or honestly, the last few years, these Michigan teams under Jim Harbaugh, they go up 17-14 in a game like that on the road. They probably march it down the field in a clock possession type of drive where they just ground and pound, and all of a sudden it's 24-14, and then maybe Washington gets a late touchdown, but it's that boa constrictor defense that you've talked about now for a few years where they just slowly clamp down on you as the game goes on and they wear you down. That's not this defense. And that's, it's not rocket science to say that. But if anything, this defense looks worse in the second half, and they get worse as the game goes on, and they get worn down, they get beat. And so to me, that's coaching. It is on the players as well. I think Wink Martindale, absolutely. If he wants to have a job next year, he needs to make major adjustments the second half of the year. Because, Brant, I'll pose the question to you. Does this Michigan defense have the talent to be a top 10 defense in the country? Like, do you genuinely believe that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think every mock draft will show you if you have four guys that are potential first rounders, a handful of guys that are going to get selected in the next couple years, then absolutely you have a talented defense. I'm sick. I'm sick of seeing third down conversions because we get caught with our hand in the cookie jar with a zone blitz, or we're out of position again, not filling gaps strongly enough. It is an undisciplined defense, Dave. They don't stay committed to where they need to be, and that's coaching. We are trying to put these guys in positions to succeed, and it's just not working. I will say, Ernest Hausman's interception in the second half against Washington. In the there was a couple drives before that. He was out of position and he couldn't make the play. It went right over his head. Hey, they adjusted. Davey talked about it. Maybe Wink put him in the right spot, or somebody, linebackers coach, put him in the right spot. All of a sudden, he makes that tip drill pick. It was amazing to see. It was like, oh, we learned. Look at this. And then obviously the offense struggles. I can't necessarily blame the defense down the stretch of the Washington game. I think originally they fed off of the offense when they started to make their run and they got up 17-14. And then we had the turnovers and everything got haywire, Dave. But I cannot blame that on the defense. I can blame the rest of the games on the defense. Like you said, we're not as good defensively than we have been the last couple of years. That doesn't mean that we're not as talented or even more talented than we have been the last few years. It's on Wink Martindale now, Dave, and I know you've got a major bone to pick with him.
Oh yeah, I think I would be comfortable firing Wink Martindale like now, and that's I understand it probably doesn't make a ton of sense to do that, but he has done nothing at this point to show me that he deserves to have that defensive coordinator job at Michigan, and I think that for the rest of this season, moving on from you did a good job breaking down the Illinois game. Michigan needs to win 8 football games. Okay, that is the bare minimum expectation. I think that it's also lofty. It will not shock me in the least bit if this is a 7-win football team or worse. I mean, truthfully, there was one more game on the schedule in Northwestern, which, I mean, I know in the past Northwestern will show up too, but outside of them, I'm not chalking up any of these games as an automatic win. And if anything, I'm already looking forward to next season. I want to see. It's disappointing because you're going to lose Will Johnson. You're going to likely lose Kenneth Grant. You're going to lose Mason Graham. You're going to lose these guys. Okay, who knows what Rod Moore is going to do with his injury? So we got to start planning for the future, and that doesn't mean just throw away the season. I'm not saying that, but someone's got to step up. There is a lack of leadership on both sides of the football, and that's kind of been Michigan's bread and butter, right? On offense, whether it was JJ or Blake Corum, or on the defense, having Mikey Sainris still, or Aiden Hutchinson in years past. There's always been leaders to step up. Not only is it a coaching issue, but it's a player issue as well. Will Johnson, I love that dude. He's got to step up. He needs to play like he's a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. He's got the character. He's got the grit. Somebody's got to show me something. Mason Graham, I think he's got the potential to get in some guys' faces, but I think that if anything for the rest of this year, the offense, I'm just expecting it to be kind of, it is what it is. We're going to have some ups and downs, and we'll be lucky to win some games if the offense doesn't turn the ball over. But defensively, there is room for significant growth. Significant growth. It has not been good, and that's being nice. We've seen glimpses of what it can look like, but they've got to get this right. And truthfully, if it doesn't get a lot better, Wink Martindale absolutely should be out of a job next year. Now, I do think, just on that note, I think you've got to be careful here with the whole firing of coaches and all of this right away, because Sharon Moore is doing a good job on the recruiting trail right now. And these assistant coaches, position group coaches, are the ones that are leading that charge most of the time. And so you got to be careful here coming off a poor season or a season that didn't meet your expectations to go in and start cleaning house of these guys that are recruiting this pipeline coming in. With that being said, bad is bad, and bad doesn't deserve a job. So I'm still out on Wink if it doesn't get significantly better, but I'm also not calling for let's just clean house and start all over.
No, David, I think that's a ridiculous comment. And I think that you and I came into this season saying to fans, like, hey, don't be calling for Sharon Moore if he loses a few games. Like, we understand what we're up against here. However, I don't think anybody realized how bad the quarterback situation was. Now, retrospect, he's got to pass this year, and that's it. We're done. We're done with giving out the passes. You go into a season like this again without a quarterback, you're going to lose your job, and you deserve to lose your job. Take Dave Portnoy's money. Like, I don't care at this point. Like, whatever it takes to – and, I mean, we laugh at that, but, like, that could be a real thing. Like, I get sick and tired of watching top-tier programs not have a quarterback. That's crazy town, especially after you watch Cam Ward and Dylan Gabriel. I know we'll get into that in the next segment, but I have zero sympathy for Sharon Moore when he could have went out and did something, and he didn't.
Fair enough. Hit that like, follow, subscribe button, hop into the comments. Let us know what you think of this Michigan football team. What do you hope to see the rest of the way? What are you looking forward to seeing this weekend against Illinois?